It's 11:47 p.m. A blue laptop screen lights up a small apartment, the kind with a neatly stacked pile of mail in the corner and a mug that's been reheated twice already. A browser tab is open to a freelance platform, timer running, a neat little clock counting billable minutes. There's a second tab with a spreadsheet, columns labeled client, hours, rate, highlighted cells, color-coded totals. The phone buzzes with a payment notification for a small online invoice, and the sound is satisfying enough to keep the cursor moving. The day job ended hours ago, but another shift is already halfway done, just under a different login. From the outside, it looks responsible, disciplined, even impressive. Up close, it looks a lot like overtime, it just happens to be on a different screen. The alarm went off at 6:30 a.m. There was a packed schedule already waiting: commute or log in, inbox, meetings, polite small talk. Projects moved from in progress to done inside company software that someone else owns. Salary is steady, benefits are acceptable, the role is described as stable. Every month, the paycheck arrives on time, every bill is covered, and there's a quiet satisfaction in never having to ask anyone for help. During lunch breaks, another world opens. Short videos about online income, threads about high-income skills, screenshots of payouts, people talking about taking control. The idea lands softly: take the same responsible attitude and just extend it online. No need to change identity. Just add more work. After work, the routine is almost ritual. Dinner, quick cleanup, then laptop. Tabs open to client dashboards, order pages, course platforms. A second stream of income, built on the safest concept available: trading more hours, at a slightly higher rate, for money. It feels good in a particular way. Time isn't being wasted, it's being monetized. Evenings and weekends are no longer empty, they are booked, like a hotel that finally has full occupancy. Each new client message feels like confirmation: responsible people stay busy. There's a budget document somewhere on that same laptop. Categories: rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, subscriptions, a line for savings, maybe a small line for investing. Every dollar is tracked. Every recurring charge is known. The number at the bottom aligns with the identity: careful, organized, not reckless. This person isn't chasing lottery tickets. They are billing clients, fulfilling orders, editing, designing, writing, consulting, taking care of support tickets, logging into dashboards for other people's businesses. The friends who see fragments on social media think it's admirable: full-time job plus online side income? Hardworking is the most common word used. Months move in neat, similar blocks. Paycheck from the job, payouts from PayPal or Stripe from the online work, margin appearing at the end of each month. Sometimes it's a few hundred, sometimes a bit more, sometimes less. It's enough to feel like progress is happening. The calendar is crowded, the bank account is crowded with transactions. Time passes this way quietly. Rates go up slightly over time. A new client pays a little more. An old client asks for a retainer. The LinkedIn profile gets updated: consultant, freelancer, creator. The titles expand faster than the balance sheet. In the background, prices shift. Groceries cost a little more, the total at the register surprises for a second, and then the card still works, so it's fine. Rent renews with a small increase. A subscription that used to be $19 is suddenly $29. The numbers are manageable, just enough to notice, not enough to feel like an emergency. The online income smooths the edges. Unexpected car repair? Use last month's extra. A friend's wedding in another city? Take on an extra client for a few weeks. The system works. Not elegantly, not effortlessly, but reliably enough. Net worth, though, moves differently. There are small bumps: a tax refund, a bonus, a good month online. Then it flattens again. The savings account grows, then drains for a necessary expense. An investment account exists, but the numbers feel too small to check often. Hours expand. The job takes 40 plus. The online work takes 10, then 15, then 20, depending on the month. The line between day job and online business becomes thinner. It's all just labor in different tabs. There is a weekend, months into this pattern, where the calendar is completely full. Saturday morning, calls with clients in different time zones. Afternoon, editing work. Evening, preparing a proposal for a potential retainer. Sunday, job prep, online deadlines, one eye on the clock. By Sunday night, there is fatigue that doesn't fit the schedule spreadsheet. The numbers say, more income than before. The body says, this pace is stretching something invisible. The deposits keep coming. They are satisfying in isolation. But when placed next to the growing cost of everything else, they don't bend the curve very far. The job covers life, the extra covers the extras. The net worth line feels more like a flat road with small bumps than a slope. There is a cost here that doesn't show up in the budgeting app. It looks like pouring water into a container with a slow, almost polite leak at the bottom. Object, bucket. The level rises, then holds, then slides down just enough to make room for more pouring. It's like running on a well-maintained machine, belt lubricated, track smooth, with a clear digital display showing calories burned and distance traveled, and then stepping off and realizing the room has not moved an inch. Object, treadmill. The time traded for cash is stacked neatly in the past, like folded shirts placed into a drawer that closes perfectly, but the closet itself never gets bigger. There is no new shelf, no new section, just better folding inside the same small space. Object, drawer. Each client message, each new project, each carefully logged hour is like adding another brick to a wall that belongs to someone else, the pattern visible, the structure solid, but the deed with another name on it. Object, brick wall. The extra income is real. The fatigue is real. The missing piece is not dramatic, it's quiet. The money flows in and flows out, doing its job as income, never being asked to do anything else. On paper, this life looks correct. The story told to others is simple. I work hard. I'm building something. I don't waste time. I'm being responsible. Inside, a softer voice runs next to that narrative. It doesn't speak in full sentences at first. It appears in small moments. It shows up when another late-night project begins and the clock says 11:30 p.m. again, and the mouse moves to the Start Timer button with a little hesitation. There is a thought, how long can this go on? It appears when two invoices clear on the same day, and the total looks impressive for a second, but then rent, utilities, groceries, and a couple of annual renewals take their share. The thought surfaces, this is good money, for right now. It whispers when a friend mentions buying into a small business, or acquiring a website, or paying someone else to handle tasks. The automatic reaction is immediate. That's risky. That's how people lose money. I can't afford to gamble. I'd rather just do the work myself. Then, a second, quieter line of thought appears. I don't actually want to be doing this much work forever. The identity holds tight. I'm not like those people who throw money at things. I earn it. I show up. I do the work. That's why I'm safe. Safety feels like control. Logging into platforms, seeing hours worked, invoices sent, clients responded to. Every dollar has a story, an email answered, a design created, a script written, a call taken. The link between time and money is direct, visible, measurable. Ownership feels distant. Assets sound abstract, like something people talk about on stages or in threads, not something responsible people with real bills sit down and buy. Letting money work without a direct hour attached feels almost like cheating, or worse, like neglect. So the compromise is silent. The thought goes, when things are more stable, then I'll think about assets. When I make a bit more, then I'll set money aside for something bigger. For now, I need to keep this going. It's the responsible thing. Years move the same way months did. The online work evolves, but the pattern doesn't. Better clients, higher rates, nicer tools, same structure, time in, money out. A person in that position can name every skill they've built, every piece of software they use, every client they've served. It's much harder to point to anything they own that keeps paying them if they stop typing. Imagine two people, both earning the same amount from a job and the same amount from online work. In the first week of extra income, the first person opens their budgeting spreadsheet, creates a savings tab, and assigns the new dollars to upcoming bills, a small cushion, and maybe a modest treat for making it through another long week. The second person opens a different tab entirely and writes down one question: what can this money own? After a year, the first person has become incredibly efficient. They know exactly how many hours they can add to their week before sleep starts to suffer. They've increased their rates enough to earn more without scaring away clients. Their spreadsheets have tabs for everything: Color codes distinguish fixed costs from flexible ones. The second person, with the same income, has a messier-looking month-to-month life, a few small acquisitions that didn't all work, a contractor hired here and there, some tools and systems that were paid for upfront and then left running. Their hours on the keyboard haven't grown much, their monthly obligations look slightly stranger. Stretch that to 5 years. The first person can look back at an impressive archive of worked hours, finished projects, satisfied clients. Their reputation is reliable. Their inbox is rarely empty. The calendar is rarely empty, either. The money has come in, done its immediate job, and gone back out. The second person may not have done more total work, but has more things that exist outside their direct labor, a list of customers, a small digital product library, a tiny team that answers some of the messages, maybe revenue that shows up on days when no timers are running. Extend the horizon again, not with drama, just with repetition. The same income, the same baseline intelligence, the same basic access to online tools. One life continues to convert spare hours into slightly higher short-term cash. The other begins to convert spare cash and even some of that cash-flowing time into structures that do not ask for constant presence. From a distance, both are in online business. Up close, one is still an employee everywhere they go. Different bosses, different platforms, different invoices. Same relationship, time rented out, money received, nothing retained. There is a moment that doesn't appear on social media and doesn't fit nicely into a caption. It looks like someone sitting at a desk on a random Tuesday night, staring at a bank balance that is not bad, not good, just known. They scroll back through months of statements and see a lot of movement with very few anchors. They recognize almost every transaction as something they actively traded time to create. The internal narration turns over again. I'm being responsible, one voice insists. I'm not taking wild risks, I'm not pretending money will grow on its own. I'm doing real work for real pay. Another voice, a little sharper now, replies. This is still just a job. 2 jobs. None of this keeps going if I stop. The arguments start to stack. If I stop, everything slows down. If I keep going, I stay tired. If I put money into anything that isn't guaranteed, I could lose it. If I don't, I already know exactly how this stays. The unseen cost shows up as later ownership. By the time a person like this feels ready to own something that pays them without their constant presence, the easiest years to take small risks have already been spent on logging extra hours. Time, once scattered across invoices, doesn't come back to be reused. The shrinking time window is not loud. It's more like an hourglass sitting on a shelf, sand moving in such a thin stream that it barely looks like motion, until enough of it has slid to the bottom that the shape inside the glass is noticeably different. Object, hourglass. There is also reduced leverage. As the habit of trading hours for money hardens, the idea of letting money stand between the person and the work becomes more uncomfortable. Hiring someone, buying a process, acquiring a small digital asset, each of these choices feels like letting go of the one lever they trust, their own effort. So the loop tightens. More online income leads to slightly nicer spending, slightly higher savings, but not much more ownership. The story remains the same, a hard-working professional, doing the right things, staying busy, avoiding visible mistakes. Meanwhile, in the same online spaces, with the same tools, there are others quietly using the same dollars differently. They, too, have jobs and side work and spreadsheets. Their difference is not volume of work but allocation. One person finishes a client project, gets paid, and immediately opens another tab to look for more projects. Another finishes a client project, gets paid, and pauses long enough to ask what part of this cash will stop being traded and start being placed. The first keeps polishing the engine. The second occasionally buys part of a machine. By the time this pattern is visible from far away, it no longer looks like a choice made in a single moment. It looks like a small tilt in thinking that compounded quietly. In an ordinary apartment, on an ordinary evening, a laptop is open again. The light from the screen falls on the same desk, the same mug, the same stack of mail. Tabs are still open to platforms that pay for time. Notifications still come in. Somewhere else, another desk has fewer tabs dedicated to time tracking and more tabs dedicated to dashboards that keep moving while no one is typing. The income numbers on both screens might match on a given month. The ownership underneath them does not. At the end of a string of such evenings, the pattern is easier to see from outside than from inside. There is a life where online income became a second job, then a third, all of them managed with care, all of them treated as proof of being responsible. There is another life where the same online income was slowly redirected until it no longer depended on adding more hours. One looks full, busy, commendable. The other looks quieter on the surface, but the money behaves differently when it arrives. On a long enough timeline, the question stops being who worked harder or who was more responsible on any given night. It becomes something else entirely. When the hours finally run out, which life still has anything left working for it?